What's up guys, my name is Jessekazam and welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. In this video we're going to dive into a few tips for solo players in Escape from Tarkov in a game that definitely rewards squad play and duo play. You can definitely create some amazing moments as a solo player, and you definitely get some advantages as well. So we're going to dive into that. I do a stream Escape from Tarkov a few days a week and all my links will be down below. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first tip is know your gear, and that seems obvious, right? But as a solo player, there are a few things that you can choose to do that will really play to the advantages of a solo player. So for instance, suppressors. In my opinion, using a suppressor on your weapon becomes insanely more valuable as a solo player. It's going to give you more opportunities to take down scavs or PMCs without the other players that are a little bit farther away on the map knowing, especially if you come across a squad and you're able to maybe pick a few of them off before they even realize where you are, and then you're in a much better situation to maybe finish off that fight. If you've been playing for a while, you can definitely tell the difference between I just heard a bullet impact next to me and I have no idea where it came from, or if you're on woods and you can hear Sturman's SVD cracking off from anywhere on the map, and that can show you how much of a difference that can make. And then also in your optics, right? So if I'm playing as a solo, a lot of times I'll bring maybe like a Valde 1x to 4x or a long range scope with a canted red dot. Having the ability to choose between long distance, medium to long, and short close range encounters is really helpful. You can also just practice your point firing skills to get those close range encounters, but giving yourself the flexibility to engage on both levels, because once again, one of those strengths as a solo player is being able to maybe pick off a squad or take out some scavs from a distance and give yourself time if you get rushed or something like that. So choosing your gear, and that translates all the way down to armor, right? You might want to pick a specific armor versus another because there's less of the turning speed reduction, there's less of a movement and stamina reduction, being a little bit more mobile. You know, it's all going to end up being how you want to play the game, but make sure that you're putting thought into the gear that you're bringing in, and is it adding to and serving the purposes of your raid, and is it adding to those advantages that you inherently get as a solo player. The second tip is really know your strengths and weaknesses, know what those advantages are, right? So we talked about it a little bit, but when you come up, especially if your aim is PvP, as a solo player, before you engage that, thinking about like, what are my strengths in this fight? A squad, when they start hearing stuff crack off, comms are going crazy. Where was that? Are you getting shot at? Was that at you? Was that one of you guys shooting? Is that you over there? Is that you over there? You don't have to worry about any of that. Every single person you see, you can kill as a solo player, and that you can use to your advantage. So throwing nades in random directions to confuse squads, or maybe not engaging right away, getting a really great angle and getting one or two one taps and maybe cutting a squad in half, confusing them right before they even know what's going on. Repositioning is one of those things that's always going to play to your strengths. I've seen people who are solos who can convince a squad that there's more than one, because they'll take shots and immediately reposition and get to a better angle, take more shots. Once again, the squad is confused and you can use that to your advantage. It's also protecting you from those kind of like firing squad moments. It rarely ever works when you turn a corner or when you come up over a hill and you see a few guys to be able to wipe them all. That firing squad is almost always going to get you. Even if you make an amazing play and drop 3 of a 4-man and that 4th one gets you, you don't get any of that loot. So maybe getting to hard cover, backing off, repositioning, throwing a nade, doing anything to get out of that engagement, and one-on-one fights, whittle them down, is going to get you to survive those more. So before you get into an engagement, especially a PvP one, if you get the opportunity to take that time and think about what are my strengths in this engagement and how can I use that to survive this raid. The third tip is learn the audio cues and the maps. So Escape from Tarkov has some phenomenal audio. The devs are of course, always working on the positional audio and the vertical sound, but the actual different sounds in the game are incredible. You can learn the guns by their audio, which I've seen a lot of people do. That can be really helpful. And then also learning the types of sounds. There's different sounds for walking and running and slow creeping on wood, metal, glass, concrete, grass, glass breaking. You can use all of those things to position a person. A great example of this is watch some of the players that are really, really good at factory. They can just kind of whip their heads around and using their hearing and then what sounds are happening, they can position exactly where somebody is and maybe flank them or get the drop on them. So if you're on interchange and you hear glass breaking or you hear somebody walking on crunchy glass, you can be like, oh, I know exactly where that glass is, or I know exactly where that metal is. I actually can't tell you how many times I have been in a raid and said, where is there metal around here? Or where is there glass around here? Like I'm hearing these things and I can feel it. I know that this should give me an advantage. I know that I should be able to position where they are, and I can't yet. So you can use offline raids or this just comes with time, but always be making those mental notes of where was that metal, or if you run across metal and you can say, hey, okay, now I know that this is here. Learning those things, of course, it's going to take time, but over time as a solo player, you can use that to your advantage because once again, all the sound is just your sound. You're never having to worry, hey, was that you on metal? Or hey, was that you over there on glass? You can just always be using all the information given to you to your advantage. The next tip is bring money for the alternative exits. So if you have a wallet, a docs case, or a SIC case, or even just a spare slot in your secure container, bringing maybe 10,000 rubles, which in the scheme of things is not a whole lot of money, and just keeping it in there for some of these alternative exits. So we know that customs and interchange and woods all have the car that you can pay, wait a little bit, and drive that car and extract there. You can use that to your advantage so often as a solo player by getting to those extractions. If you are really, really hurt, or if you're trying to outrun a squad, or if you're trying to just reposition and do something, you can use those extractions to get out of your raids in a ways that people don't expect, or in a way that can be also can be a lot more convenient for you if you're really close to those. Like the customs dorms comes to mind, right? If you get into a huge fight with Scav Boss or PvP or both, and you're hurting and you've got a lot of loot and you don't want to risk running to the other side of the map, so often that car is there. You can pop out, pay the rubles, lay in the bushes there, and then get out. So that's something that I found. It's not a huge upfront cost. It's kind of a set it and forget it. You just leave it in there. And when it comes in handy, it really, really comes in handy. The next tip is for questing. Night raids can be really, really valuable as a solo player for a few reasons. One, they're most of the time less populated. And two, you can continue to use those advantages to help you out, right? It's easier to stay quiet. It's easier to stay out of sight, especially if you're suppressed. So if you're having a hard time getting some quests done, especially if you're trying to quest a little bit later in the wipe, NVGs are a lot cheaper than people think they are. You know, for 30 or 40,000 rubles, you can get some night vision goggles and run a raid and do it at your own pace, as slow or as fast as you want to do it. And in my experience, your survival rate is definitely going to skyrocket. You're going to be able to get those quest items or those markers planted or whatever. And that can really help you, boost your leveling if that's what you're trying to do. And then the final tip is know when to third party. So this is another strength that you have as a solo player, being able to maneuver two fights really, really quickly. If you hear a fight going off and that's close to you and you can get to a position where you maybe see what's happening, if you play your cards right, you can engage with somebody while they're being engaged on with somebody else, and you can take down an enemy without the other person even knowing you were ever there. Or you can wait till a fight is over and then clean it up. You've got eyes on the person already. You kill them while they're looting or something, and then you can roll through and scoop up the loot. As a solo player, you have that maneuverability, knowing that you're making your decisions. You're not running them by a teammate. You're not doing anything. And you can get right to a fight, wait for your moment, and then strike. So that's really it. Those are my tips for solo players. I hope that this helped. I hope that even if some of these things you already knew were pretty obvious, that something in here stuck out to you, something as a solo player that you can take and adapt into your play style and start surviving more raids. And I hope that this helps just Escape from Tarkov become more fun for you. Thank you guys, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. Please leave a comment down below if you have any questions, or if there's any comments on this video or any guides you'd like to see me make here in the future. If you liked the video, think about dropping a thumbs up or subscribing for more content like this. I'm always trying to create content that is high quality and shortens the learning curve of Escape from Tarkov to get you in your raids having fun as soon as possible. So thanks again for stopping by, and I will see y'all on the next one.